Lovely. So make yourself comfortable in your chair and have a little think about your posture, first of all. Partly because obviously we want to try and get a better posture. And partly in the interest of just bringing that focus of attention in to being to settle in, to arrive. So ideally forward in your chair, tilting your pelvis forwards, 30% of your weight in the feet, the remaining 70 back more with your hips. So that slight angle, but still a kind of lengthening through your spine. One of the images sometimes used to help us with this is that people imagine that there's a cord attached to the crown of the head and they're sort of hanging from the ceiling. I don't use that one myself. It doesn't really work for me, but a lot of people do use it. And like all images, it's never going to be the whole story. And not every image is going to work for us. This one, as it happens, that doesn't for me. But if it helps you, if it adds to the movement, if it helps you to sort of get a sense for the postures and so on and so forth, then use it. Feeling your weight dropping down through your hips and rubbing your hands together, tapping over your face. Notice the sensations as you do this tapping. How does it feel on your face? And up over your head and down your neck. One shoulder, and your arm. And on the other side. And the upper part of the chest. Belly. And legs. Sitting back, there are certain specifics in the posture, certain principles that we really want to try and fulfill. Exactly how that happens can be variable. There are different ideas in Tai Chi, which are really partially a reflection of the fact that we all have different sort of body types, and partly in because we have different experiences. And so what we might think of initially when we're starting to learn Tai Chi, or initially when we're starting a Tai Chi session, regardless of how experienced we are, we see in one way, but that experience can kind of deepen. And as it does, so the understanding of what we're doing can be. One of the most basic ones is this feeling of rooting down, of simply allowing gravity to work through your body, to pull you into the chair. Just let your shoulders drop back, feel your hips dropping down, to the point of contact with the chair. Notice that when you do this, there are various changes in your body. Pay attention to your breathing for a few moments, and just feeling the gentle rise and fall in the front of your body with your breath, and looking to feel that starts here in the belly, builds up into the solar plexus, and then into your chest. Don't force your breathing, but it can be another good way of bringing your attention into your body. And as it smooths off, as the flow of the breath comes in, it can have a very calming. When you come back to the upright position, you'll probably lose some of that effect of your breathing. So we tend to sort of pull our bellies in and things like that. We want to try and avoid that. But you know, you might want to refer back to your breath every now and then. if it's useful to you. Letting your shoulders drop. So in the same way they were pulled back in the chair, they're now being pulled down. Making you a little bit more aware of this, the shape of your rib cage, the support that you get from the spine. And slowly turning it. And then your shoulders. And then forwards. Your hands drop down, rotating your arms. As you move, trying to maintain a certain flow in the movement and just recognizing how far you can move without meeting a barrier, without sort of tightening up around that barrier. So you keep a feeling of space within the body. That really encourages that flowing feeling. Rotating. And then back. Rest your hands. I mentioned earlier that if you can let your shoulders drop, you can become a little bit more aware of this, the shape and the support of the rib cage, the spine. You let your hips drop, perhaps a little bit more aware of the pelvis. So just a general awareness of this structure of the skeleton within your body. That comes to the surface of our awareness more when we release some of the tightness in the body, and as we let our awareness sink more into the body. So now you can tilt your pelvis forwards, your spine and your rib cage will follow. The weight goes down into your feet, a gentle push down, and so our spine, for instance, is supporting our back, but at the same time, it's supported by the soft tissue of the back. I sometimes think of our skeleton as a whole as being like the frame of a tent. And in a tent, you've got the frame, you've got skin of the tent, and then you've got the guy ropes. These three things work together. So the frame is partially supported by the skin, but also supports the skin. So it's a two-way process. We can think in terms of skeleton, and then maybe the fascial layer, one of the fascial layers, maybe tendons, ligaments, muscles, in much the same way. You can imagine, and there's something like sometimes you see them in gardens that somebody's stacked up some poles into a kind of pyramid shape and they're all leaning against each other. So each pole is supporting the other one and is supported by the other ones, rather than it being too hierarchical. And obviously going back to the tent, you can get away with a couple of pegs missing or a guy rope missing, but you can't get away with a missing bit of the frame. So there is a certain hierarchy there, but it's not totally linear. So we start to get a sense of the whole body movement as one unit. Everything is involved in every movement. Sense. And related to that, really coming out of that is this awareness of the movement itself, the flow, the energy, forwards and backwards. Then turn a little bit towards one leg. One of the things that can enhance that awareness of the movement and the patterns of changes within the body is to imagine doing this in water. So there's a slight feeling of resistance that can kind of amplify period of movement within the body and encourages a way of moving that encourages that internal. Turn in the other direction. And then noticing the interplay, the physical interplay, noticing also specifically in a way, the interplay between those three elements of mind, body, and movement, noticing how your intentionality affects your movements, how your body can provide a focal point, a gathering point for your attention, go back in the other direction. So as well as the physical preparation, the physical warm-up and the loosening of your joints and so on and so forth, we're reviewing some very important fundamental principles in these movements, just re-establishing them in our awareness. If we've done Tai Chi before, just bringing them back to the surface and just having a forum, if we've not done this before, but we're beginning to become aware of it. And then come back to the center, pull one foot up, step out, put your heel down, lower your toes, gently push into the foot, planting the foot, put back. This time, once you've planted the foot, again, tilt forwards, bring more of your weight going into the foot, coming back. Make sure you get the foot fully planted before you commit your weight. Don't be in a hurry with this. Bring it back in line, try with the other side. First of all, keeping the step, what we would call empty. An empty step is one where it's stepped, but the weight hasn't gone into it. And then have an established step. Now you can let your weight fill into the leg. And then just do a few alternating from one side of the body, one leg to another. Noticing how your body just shifts slightly to accommodate that. Okay. Once again, drop your hands down to your sides and turn them palm forwards. This time, as you rotate your arms, your weight moves into the front leg. So, bird folds its wings. Try not to lose that awareness of what's happening in your feet, hips and pelvis, and the movement of your weight. Not focusing too much on your arms and your hands. Recognizing the sort of progressive movement that always starts from the ground, goes up through your body, and then drains back down into the ground, into your feet to start the whole process. Then. And then leaving your hands facing back. So I'm just letting them swing behind the movement. Nice fluid, wave-like movement through your body. Which is at this point, you really feel the weight of your arm, and then it swings up, you go forwards, your arm drops down. So there's just a gentle curve there. Not trying to lift my arm. It's natural for your arms to swing upwards. They're attached at one end, not at the other. Or we can start to get a very subtle pattern of expansion and contraction in our back and our sides, the front of our body. See if you can recognize at least some of those areas. And then roll in the ball. As you've got the ball underneath you. Drawing your fingers over. As always, we can bring in a variety of images. You already mentioned that one, moving through water. That's a very common image, as is the sort of cord attached to the crown of your head. This is how your body responds sometimes to those images. One more time, going forwards. This time, as you start to come up, turn your hands palm in, draw your elbows apart, your chest just expanded. This pigeon spreads its wings. Going forwards, pressing that. One more time. Start bringing your hands straight back in front of your hips. Your elbows still go out a little bit. Turn your hands palm forwards, as forwards. Pushing away. Just as with fisherman cast and net, there's a natural swing up. I can only do this with one hand with the back of the chair, but here it's as though the wave that starts in my hips pushes my elbow forwards. If my elbow goes forwards, my arm will come up without me having to think about lifting it. So it's a gentle curving movement upwards, no higher than your shoulders, probably a little bit lower. That's soft quality in your arms and your hands. Imagine you're pushing into the water. Doing one of these straight forwards. Sitting back. step out one foot and plant the foot and then move the weight in, come back, changing sides. Step. That's one more time on each side. Your feet back parallel. Roll your fingers into a hollow fist. Suppose your arms rotate from your shoulder. So here, the hands will be palm up if the fingers were open, and as you go forwards, it's on. As much as possible. Of course, it's not just a twist in the wrist. The majority of the movement, or at least a significant part of the movement, is actually the movement of your weight. If I just move my arms, this is what happens. I don't want to lock my elbows out. This is as far as my hands will get. And I don't want to pull my hands right back. My elbows stop just in front of my head. If I were to just move my weight and not extend the arms, they would get to hip. But when I combine the two, so I can move my weight forwards, and then let them extend just to exaggerate that a little bit. Let them draw back and then move the weight back. But in the end, it will happen at the same time. And that's where we get the extension from. You may also notice as you do this, your hips are dropping back in the chair. So actually I've talked about your weight moving and your arms extended. What will happen here is with your hips dropping back is that the spine will extend. So you can feel that extension from the spine out through your shoulders and into your arms and then back in right down to where your spine goes into the pelvis of the chair. Then open your fingers, turning your hands palm out, winding around. And so again, just feeling that extension through your back and your spine. Not just your spine, but muscles, tendons, ligaments, fascial layers in your back. And then coming back, turn your hands palm down. Turn a little bit towards one leg. So again, going extending out all the way from the hips around, polishing the tape. Once more in each direction. Now a little bit more subtly with the next set of exercises, which are more vertical than the ones we've just done. Turning your hands palm up, with gentle push from your feet and your your hips. That same sense of lengthening through your spine, and then contracting. Oh, excuse me. There's a wave coming up through your back, pushing your arms up, and then just draining away through the front. It's important to realize that this comes from the ground. So at this point, there's a gentle pressure downwards through the soles of your feet, through your hips and buttocks, as though you're about to stand up. But it's a much smaller movement. But it creates an upward flow through your body. And take your hands out, fingers point away from your shoulders, same idea, but the movement is called the wild goose, with this very strong image of a bird in flight. And again, just noticing whether your body responds to that image. May do, it may not, it's got to be the right image. What the nature of that response is. And then coming forwards, lifting your hands cross onto your knees. Sit back, push up, part in the clouds. One more of these. And we're going to build these last three movements into the short sequence. So letting your hands come down, tuck under as though you're holding the ball. And just noticing the expansion in your belly and the lower back. Turning your hands out. Same thing as you start the wild goose, but as your arms are going out, it expands upwards a little bit more clearly into your solar plexus. The part in the clouds, we build the expansion, build in belly, solar plexus, and up into the chest. A pattern of expansion and indeed contraction that we want to try and find in all of them. One more round. This time, staying back, letting your hands drop down. Once again, feeling the weight of your arms, focusing on one side of your body, and feeling that expansion. Lower by the belly, solar plexus, pushing your elbow up, and then your elbow dropping, swinging your hand up, wind your arm around. Yes, it's dragon touch the stars. So the movement building from the ground, through your hips, up through the side of your body, and into your arms. More time. Now bring your hand in and just let the inside of your hand, the little finger edge of your hand and arm, lightly rest on your hips. Pushing up, again extending up belly, solar plexus, chest. Contracting downwards and just taking a moment. Bring your hands back into position, gently touching the side of your hips. Then pushing up. Keeping your hands in front of your body. It can often be a temptation to do something like that, push up and then put your hand up. But remember that slight angle forwards, giving your back the roll, supporting the front of your body, not tightening up. Okay? Again, with the expansion, belly, solar plexus, chest, or however you're experiencing it, pushing your arms up, but then bringing them back, guiding them to the side of your body, gently touching your hips, making that internal connection to the center part of the body. And this time, still following that progression, belly to solar plexus to chest, factor in the turn. Turn and turning the belly and the hips, turning the solar plexus, turning the chest and back. One direction. And then facing forwards. So pushing in forward direction. One more round of this, just noting how it's built into this exercise. Well, two things. One is the rhythm, expansion, contraction, yang to yin. The other is the way it really brings our attention back to that center part of the body. From there, it's that part of the body sinking down into the ground. That part of the body shaping the movement, directing the movement. Spend one foot, just let it rest on the heel, easing forwards. There'll be a slight pull through the back of your leg. Hips dropping back and again expanding upwards through your body, scooping the sea. And this time, again, a hollow fist, gently wrap your fingers in, projecting upwards as you go forwards, drawing your arms over, grasping the tiger's hips. Changing sides. Scooping the sea and looking. And grasping the tiger's hips. Go back to this movement, forwards and backwards, and just playing around with this pattern. The weight transfer is a very dynamic quality, perhaps the principal dynamic quality in Tai Chi and Qigong. Many of the movements, we move from the ground. So whether we're moving the weight or not, the contact with the ground, the root, is constant. We would like it to be constant. Now, this time, just be aware that the principal contact here is for your hips, and then when you go forward, the principal contact is for your feet, but it's maintained. Now turn just a little bit towards one leg, towards your left leg, say, go forwards with that same process. And then turn in the other direction. And we're going to alternate these. And this brings in what happens in the center of the body. You come back into your left hip, and none of my movements. You turn to your right. And in that turning, you can feel your weight moving across. You turn towards the left foot, do the diagonal. You come back, turning a little bit towards the right hip. And as we settle into the right hip, we turn towards the left hip and then going forward. So if you look at the movement in the part of my body, I'm exaggerating slightly here. So I'm kind of throwing my posture out a bit, but I want you to see what's going on. Bring your hands up, let your elbows just rest against the side of your body. Noticing how it's just natural for your arms, your arms and your hands follow that movement. There's a dynamic but very quiet quality to the arms and the hands. This is very characteristic of touch. This time, as you go forwards into your right foot, expanding through the right side of your body, the combination of the different movements, pushing your arm out and up, you come back, drawing your hand across chest, and turn your hands in to hold the ball, turn into your right hip. And then the same thing on the other side, swinging the arm up, pressing down. So we have all these patterns of movement within the body and the potential for those patterns to be used to motivate the arms and hands. There's an intentional quality here. It's not a random movement or just allowing your arms to be moved in any kind of form or fashion. Have an intention. Swing your arm up, it arrives above your knee, your foot. You're looking out over your fingers here. You're drawing back across the chest. So in some movements, you might bring the hand down at that point, but not in this one. So we have these internal movements. We guide the movements through a combination of our intentionality and the physical movements through the centre of the body. Part in the wild horse's name. One more. And come notice. Once again, doing this little tapping exercise, getting ready to stand up. Tapping over your face. Over your head and neck again. Down to one shoulder and your arm. The other side. And the upper part. The belly. And the next. Now, pushing your knees up, your heels up, warming the legs up a little bit. And then circling your knees. And that one. Okay. Standing there. Let's start with this little sequence of rooting down to the wild goose, departing the clouds. So once again, get that feeling of the movement rising up progressively through our bodies. Feet below your hips. Weight a little bit forwards. Letting your hips drop back, sinking down a little bit, and then pushing up. And dropping back down. From the side, you see my hips are dropping back as I'm sitting down on something, pelvis will tuck under, and then up. So we get that movement upwards into our hips, gravity pulling our hips down. And this time, as you sink down, bring your hands around doing the first exercise, rooting down, feeling the expansion, belly and lower back. And then going into the wild goose and its belly, lower back, and then up towards the solar plexus. And then belly, lower back, solar plexus, and up into your chest. 3 regions of the body that in Chinese medicine are referred to collectively as the triple heater. And the triple heater, sometimes described as an organ. It's not an organ in the way that we understand the organs, but it's a collection of processes really that are concerned with the homeostatic balance of movement, temperature, and a whole range of things within the body. So just sort of encouraging that connection, that flow between those 3 regions. One last time. One foot forward, excuse me, 1 foot forwards. Keep the width of your step. And just as we did in the chair, transferring the weight, letting the weight settle into each foot. You're going to about 60% of your weight in the front leg when you go forwards, about 70 in the back leg at the moment. But then we begin to play with that a little bit. You go back, raise your front toes, and it's a slight shift back, gradually bringing your body more into line with your back leg. When you go forwards, you push the back knee forwards, gradually bringing your body more in line with the front leg. Keeping an upright stance, if it helps, remember that feeling of suspending through the crown of your head, and just feeling your hips dropping back, drawing your head and your shoulders up. And stepping in, planting the foot, heel toes pressing in, planting. When you step backwards, it's the ball of the foot, then the heel. It's an empty step which then fills up. Change over. First of all, fixed step. Then beginning to bring the heels and the toes up. And stepping in. Planting the foot. Taking a few steps through, either forwards or backwards. And then changing direction. So when we do the arm movements, we'll do 3 exercises with the weight transfer. When we do fisherman castanet, look for that expansion in the body, in the belly. We'll do a few of those. We'll change to pushing wave, and we feel the expansion belly to solar plexus. And then when we go into wind blows the willows, belly, solar plexus, and chest. So that same progression up through the body. So start with your right foot forwards. And fisherman casting. Feeling, probably mostly feel like me, you'll feel the expansion in the front of your body as the arms swing forwards. One more time. Bringing your hands more in towards your hips, elbows going out slightly. An expansion from belly to solar plexus. Push away. Time as you arrive in your front foot, turn. So the expansion going upwards a little again. Wind blows the roots. Trapped in into the back foot and expand. Now change over. So have your left foot forwards and fisherman castanet. And push and wave. This time going forwards and turning to the expansion build to your body into wind blows the willows. So we can pull arm being pushed up, this time combining it with stepping either forwards or back, because I'm going to go forwards. So I'm going to raise my heel here and bring my foot in, plant it forwards, hips dropping back, contracting downwards, turning, bringing the back foot in, stepping, an empty step, which I then allow the weight to fill in. Change direction now. So and do that again, this time. If it's comfortable for you, as you bring the foot in and you turn, bringing the foot up, hips dropping back. Dragonfly skims the water again. Change direction. Remember that build up the wave-like movement through belly, solar plexus and chest, not straining or struggling in your upper body to move your arms. That will make you top heavy and you'll become very unstable. Bringing your feet back. Lovely. Go back to the chair. That pattern of expansion also works the other way when we contract, draining away downwards through the body. You can begin to see that in this final exercise. In this time, you return to the mountain. So let your arms drop down, a little bit of a push down through your feet and your hips, expanding belly, solar plexus, chest, And then just beginning to release that chest contracting, solar plexus contracting, movement draining down, emptying away. One more time. And as always, thank you very much, everybody, for that. So, go out and enjoy the sunny weather if you get a chance. Thanks a lot for joining in. Bye for now.